If we bombard our body with all these calories, we are messing up the absorption. We're going to gain some fat, but we're also messing up the entire hypertrophy process. So we're not going to have as good results. Wade, you asked actually a very similar question to what Charlotte asked. How lean should naturals stay? And I would say as lean as you can maintain, and it doesn't feel like you are physically or mentally stressing yourself out. Meaning, yeah, following a fixed diet is probably the way to do it, right? 5-6 meals a day. Being a little bit hungry between meals is normal. But if you find yourself having to cut out entire macronutrients, like I have to go super low carb all the time to stay this lean, or super low fat, that's probably too lean, right? You need to be able to eat enough food. And a big part of that is just staying at your new body composition for long enough. So let's say you get down to 5-6% on a DEXA scan, absolutely shredded. I've done it, I know how it feels terrible. But let's say you've done that. You should, as slowly as possible, let yourself go back up to 8% or so, which isn't going to take very long. It's going to take a couple of weeks. No matter how slow you want to do it, it's going to come back pretty quickly. But then once you're there and you're feeling, you know, stuff is working for you, like as a guy, you're waking up, you have morning wood, you feel healthy, that's lean enough. Training, growing muscle, that's all about creating an adaptive response from your muscles by training in such a way that forces them to adapt. I know that sounds kind of super simple, but it's true. That's why people can grow if they're dieting for a show, and they sometimes can not grow at all muscle-wise, but while they're gaining a load of fat. All comes down to the training, and if you are creating a need for the body to adapt, add new tissue. I've always found the body grows in spurts, even for naturals. It's like, if you've been training for a good while, not a lot seems to happen, and then suddenly you seem to grow a good bit. I really think that goes beyond just food intake. I think trying to force your body up just through the food, even if you take a load of drugs, I don't think it's the right way. I tried it. It just made me unhealthy, man. It didn't work any better than basically eating fairly instinctively, assuming you have a healthy mentality. I've never been fat in my life. I've been like bloated when I was younger, when I was trying to bulk up, but I've never not had like the outline of my abs. And that's not to show off. That is literally just saying I can listen to my hunger instincts, and if I feel hungry, I know it's actually true. I'm hungry and I can eat, and then I'll eat the right foods. You know, if you eat processed garbage, it's never the way to do it. I have found a lot of these people, and when I say these people, that sounds a little harsh, but a lot of people who question this and talk about, oh, what's the best way to bulk? They are just looking for shortcuts. And wait, you're going to be like, what? It's true. Eating a burger, let's say a burger, 1,000 calories, and you eat a fries, and you eat a milkshake, 2,000 calories. That's not helping you grow, dude. Your body can only assimilate so much protein each hour. You are just going to add fat, put a load, like a strain on your body. It's just going to do nothing positive. But you know what's hard? It is hard to eat 5 or 6 meals a day of lean proteins, your good carbs, some good fats. And when I say good, I just mean unrefined, basic foods. That's all I mean. I don't mean it in any other way, so don't misconstrue that. But it's hard to do that. If you do that, you are probably not going to have a superfood focus. If you can finish a show and you immediately just increase how much food you eat, yeah, you're going to gain a little bit of fat, but after a few weeks, the hunger is going to be about steady. You're going to be eating a lot of food. Like, I think how many pro bodybuilders eat the same meal? It's usually 6 to 10 ounces of meat, usually about 8. This is like a big bodybuilder, and 2 cups of rice. Right? That's a very average meal. Works out at somewhere between 50 and 80 grams of protein and like 100 carbs. And they eat that 5-6 times a day, maybe 5 times, and then they have like the oatmeal or whatever in the breakfast. If you eat like that, you're not actually eating as many calories as you think, because let's say 6 ounces of chicken, 2 cups of rice with some broccoli, that's only about 600-ish calories. So if you ate 6 meals like that, you'd still be under 4,000 calories. So when you see these people saying, oh, I need to eat 5,000, 6,000 calories to grow, I mean, if they have a super busy manual labor job, perhaps, right? If they are hyperthyroid, right? If they have a medical condition. But more than anything, it's usually because they're not fully assimilating the food they're eating. Because you have to remember, we are not what we put in, we are what we assimilate inside. Our digestive tract is basically the same as saying it's outside the body, because it is outside the body. Food has to go down, has to be processed, it has to be absorbed. If you are bombarding your body with, that's why these big cheat meals will work for a lot of guys, because your body simply can't absorb all that crap at one time. It's just going to go through you. So, do I think that's a good idea? I don't think it's a good idea, because I think you're doing damage to your gut biome, and you're just going to hinder yourself long term. That's why so many bodybuilders have Crohn's and other issues when they get older. I mean, even like there's guys, like I'm 36. I know all kinds of guys who've got all sorts of issues already at this age. I'm like, geez, that's not good. There's no need for it. But if you're power shoveling food or whatever, yeah, sure, power shovel your rice, your chicken shakes with berries. You power shove that all you want. You're not going to get fat. Your body will tell you when it's had enough, because it'll literally get that full that you won't be able to eat anymore, but then it'll digest. It'll digest over a couple of hours. If you load in, let's say a load of pizza, that's not digesting in a couple of hours. That's, that's probably going to take, who knows how long that takes, 5, 6, sometimes more hours to digest. And during that time, you do not have the constructive nutrients in your body to aid growth, because every hour we process, let's say it's about 1 gram of protein or so. So every hour, if we have the right nutrients available, we are improving a little bit. If we bombard our body with all these calories, we are messing up the absorption. We're going to gain some fat, but we're also messing up the entire hypertrophy process. So we're not going to have as good results. So for your answer, a good way to do it is do get yourself lean, like for a contest or whatever. Bring your body fat up to whatever level you think is bearable, like where you can function. Everything works. Then you can get some blood work. And if your testosterone is on the lower side, for whatever reason, you could try taking your body fat up 1 or 2%. Get blood work again. See if it's improved. Honestly, I doubt it will. But there is a certain level, like if you're 5, 6, I think it's under about 8% of true body fat, your testosterone and stuff is going to be lower. I've seen that over and over. And you don't want that. You feel kind of crappy. But if you think about it, if under 8% you have issues, but if you're like 9 to 10%, which is still super lean, anyone who's a true 9 to 10% is, in anybody's eyes, ripped. If you step onto the stage lights, no, you're not in contest condition, but you're extremely lean. So my point is, try and stay as lean as you can, and just progress your training. That doesn't mean just try and move more and more weight. It's not going to work, but challenge yourself every time you go into the gym. Do something a little different, like decrease the rest periods. Focus more on every repetition. Think about it this way. You should be able to, with any weight, reach failure in 10 reps. How is that possible, you ask? You can just take your arm, right, and you squeeze it up as hard as you can, lower it down really slowly. If you are really squeezing as hard as you can, you should be able to reach exhaustion before 10 reps are up. So the point is, really focus on the quality when you're training. We're not weightlifting, we're not powerlifting. The goal isn't to move the weight from one point to the other. Just magically putting 4 plates on the bench bar and pressing it out for a few reps doesn't mean you're going to have a great chest. You're probably going to have some, muscle, because something's got to do that work, right? But that's not the bodybuilding way. The bodybuilding way is you pump, you take the fibers to failure, you give it the right food, the nutrition, hydration, the sleep, and it recovers and it grows. It's like a callus on your hand, right? You go and deadlift for the first time at the end, because my daughter just did this yesterday. Your hands are super sore, they're all beaten up. But as long as you didn't go to the extent that they literally opened up, got totally cut apart, they develop calluses after a couple of days, and now your hands are stronger. It's the same with bodybuilding. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to stimulate to create a callus. Same as going out in the sunshine, like I am right now. If you're out for 10, 15 minutes every day, you develop a suntan. If you're out there for an hour, you get a burn, and then you develop cancer eventually. I mean, that's not good. So with the training, really try to put as much focus into the quality contractions. If you have an injury, I've had injuries, as you know, because I didn't always listen to advice like this. I had an ego. I've always naturally been a strong person. I've prided myself on that. So I know what not to do very well from personal experience, and I know how easy it is to not listen to these right advices. That's why I'm here trying to help you guys avoid making some of the mistakes I did. If you go to a physical therapist after you've had an injury and they have you do some kind of band work for your shoulder, let's say, do they have you take that band and as hard as you can, you pull that band apart for 1 to 5 times? Or do they have you work that muscle for probably 45 to 60 seconds, probably 20 plus reps? It really freaking burns and hurts, doesn't it? And they go, no, keep going, there's more in there. And by the end of it, you're like, whew, I can't believe I can create such pain with a band. Well, if you can create such pain with a band, think what should be happening when you're lifting those freaking weights. It's no different. You're using the weights to increase the intensity and strain you are putting on that target muscle. If all you're doing is focused on moving it from point A to point B, I mean, that's a totally different thing, man. It's not the same thing. And I'm not going to necessarily say it's easier, but it's less painful. But you have to get to the point where you enjoy that pain, right? The discomfort. Once it starts burning, that's when the set begins. That's when something's actually happening. Go into that feeling, make it burn more, make it hurt more. Now, I'm talking about the muscle. If you feel like the joint or something hurting, don't push through that. But any sensation within the muscle of burning, fatigue, you want that. And you just keep going until that muscle just won't fire and push anymore. So many people are against failure training and stuff these days. And I'm like, yeah, if you're using, let's say, loads of 5 to 6 and you're doing like a bench press or squats and you're ending the set pinned down at the bottom with this heavy ass barbell, yeah, that's probably really dangerous. I wouldn't want to do several sets like that either. But if I'm doing a set of squats, I'll go until I think to myself, well, the next rep, I'm not sure if I'll get the next rep with good form. That's failure. You're there. And maybe it takes you a while to understand what that is. So you have a spotter or you have the rack set up, and maybe you need to experience being pinned at the bottom a couple of times to really get it. But once you've got it, you'll know how it feels, and you'll be able to terminate the set when it's required. For an exercise like bicep curls or so, you just keep going until the weight doesn't move anymore. It's simple. You're not going to get overtrained and fail to make progress by doing that. Don't be in the gym for 5 hours a day. Don't train muscles like every single day, and you'll be fine. You should feel it. If you can go into the gym and you can at least do the same as last time, if not a little bit more, then you've recovered just fine. I know this was a little off track of what you were asking, but I basically answered it with the earlier question to Charlotte, so I thought I'd add this in. Thank you very much, sir, for being a patron. I hope to make this an interesting place for you to visit.